My stepmother wanted to give my late mother's jewelry to my stepsister as a wedding gift, but my little prank of swapping them with fakes ended up getting me a few laughs. I'm Alex, 25 years old, and I need to tell this story because it's been too much to keep to myself. A little background: I lost my mom a few years ago, and it was the hardest thing I've ever gone through. She was more than just my mother. She was my best friend. Losing her changed everything. It wasn't just that she was gone. It was like my entire sense of home disappeared with her. The only thing that gave me a bit of comfort afterward was the jewelry she left behind. My mom loved her jewelry. She wasn't rich or anything, but she had a beautiful collection that she built over the years. Some pieces from my dad, some she bought for herself, and others passed down from her family. She used to tell me the story behind every piece. There was a delicate gold bracelet from my grandmother when she turned 18, a locket with a baby photo of me inside, a stunning sapphire ring my dad gave her on their anniversary, and a few more. There were 6 pieces in total, all very special to her. Even when she was sick, she still wore her jewelry on the tough days. Sometimes she was too weak to get out of bed, but she'd still put on her favorite earrings or rings just to feel like herself again. She'd smile at herself in the mirror like it gave her a little piece of life back. After she passed, those pieces became my most precious possessions. Not because they were worth money, but because they were all I had left of her. Every time I looked at them, memories of her came rushing back. Then came my dad's new wife, Marta, 57, and her daughter, Morgan, 24. Yeah, I'm talking about my stepmother and stepsister. I never really liked them. It wasn't that I saw them as trying to replace my mom. We just didn't click. My dad married Marta only a year after Mom passed, which felt strange. I wasn't ready for him to move on, and honestly, it didn't seem like he was either. But he did it anyway. And since he's my dad, I figured he deserved another shot at happiness after losing his first love. Marta was okay, I guess, in that fake nice kind of way. She acted sweet, but she had this weird vibe that made me not trust her. Morgan was worse, spoiled, stuck up, and she talked to me like she was better than me. Maybe because she's a year older, but she didn't have anything on me, really. Still, she acted like I was beneath her fast forward to a year ago. Morgan was getting married. Big wedding, huge guest list, the whole show. And Marta decided she wanted to give Morgan my mom's jewelry as a wedding gift. She didn't even ask me. She just assumed they were hers to give away. I found out because I overheard her on the phone, all excited, telling a friend how beautiful Morgan would look wearing the sapphire ring. She said she planned to give it to her at the bridal shower. She was talking about my mom's ring. My ring. The one my dad gave my mom when they were still happy, when she was still alive. The one she wore even when her hands were thin and frail from treatment. No way was I letting her give it away. I didn't waste time trying to have a calm talk with her. I asked her what the hell she was thinking, and she gave me that look like I was being dramatic. She said, "Oh, honey, it's a family heirloom. It should stay in the family." I told her it was staying in the family, with me, because it was my mother's, and they had no connection to her at all. I told her clearly that the jewelry wasn't hers to give. It was my mother's, now mine, and she had no right to even touch it, let alone gift it to Morgan. She acted all shocked, like she didn't get why I was upset, and then had the nerve to say Morgan was my sister now and I should want her to have something special for her wedding day. I said Morgan's not my sister, and my mom's jewelry wasn't some cheap trinkets to hand out like party favors. Then my dad stepped in. Any normal father would back his daughter up here. If my mom left them to me, I'm the only one who could decide what happens to them. And I wasn't giving them up. But nope, not my dad. He said, "They're just jewelry, Alex. It's a family heirloom. It should go to Morgan since she's getting married first." I asked him if he honestly thought my mom, his wife of over 20 years, would be okay with that. And he had the audacity to say, "Her memory lives in us, not in some silly jewelry." He added that Morgan could wear them and maybe give them back later. Sure, like that was ever going to happen. He told me it was all in the past and we needed to move on. I lost it. I said if Marta or Morgan took even one piece, I'd never forgive him. Never speak to him again. He just sighed like I was being a brat and told me to think about it. I reminded him that legally, they were mine, and there would be consequences. I took some time, not because I was considering giving them up, but because I realized something. My dad wasn't going to back me. Marta was going to keep pushing until she got what she wanted. I could see it in her smug little smile. She thought she'd wear me down. So, I did something. Not just to protect the jewelry, but to get a little revenge, too. I played along. A few days after that argument, I went downstairs and told them I'd thought it over. Told them they were right. That I'd been emotional. That I needed to let go of the past. Marta looked thrilled. It took everything in me not to laugh when she gave me that fake sweet smile and said, "Oh, sweetheart, I knew you'd come around. It's what your mother would have wanted." I wanted to scream, but that would have ruined the plan. Instead, I smiled and nodded like I agreed. I even said Morgan would love the jewelry and that it was nice she'd have something meaningful to wear on her wedding day. My dad looked relieved, like he was bracing for another fight. I reached out to an old friend, Lauren. We weren't super close, but she was kind, and lucky for me, her brother was a jeweler. I messaged her, and after some small talk, I casually mentioned I needed a special job done. Nothing fancy, just some really good fakes. She was curious, of course, but I didn't give her details. Just said I wanted duplicates made and was willing to pay. She connected me with her brother, and after explaining what I needed, he agreed to help. Best part? My little prank didn't cost much. Totally worth it. I met with him the next week and gave him all the pieces. The sapphire ring, gold bracelet, the locket, diamond earrings, a pearl necklace, and a small brooch. I wasn't sure which ones Marta had her eye on, so I had to cover all my bases. He was amazing at what he did. When he gave me the fakes, they looked almost identical. The weight was a bit off, and if you looked really close, you could spot tiny flaws, but to the average person, they were perfect. He even aged them a little so they didn't look brand new. I put the real ones in a safe place outside the house. The fakes? I placed them right where the originals had been, same boxes, same setup, nothing to raise suspicion. And then I waited. That night, Marta called me downstairs. I had to act normal when she offered me a glass of wine and said, "I just wanted to thank you again for being so mature about all this, Alex. I know it was hard, but you're doing the right thing." Inside, I was thinking, I'm doing way more than the right thing. For the next year, everything was normal. Life went on, and honestly, I thought I'd gotten away with it. Morgan wore the necklace a few times, and Marta kept saying how beautiful she looked in my mom's jewelry. I had to bite my tongue not to laugh. It was hilarious watching them show off cheap knockoffs, thinking they were the real deal. The real ones were safe in a bank's safety deposit box, except for a few sentimental pieces I kept with me, small enough to hide. I wasn't taking any chances. I beat Marta at her own game. I thought that was the end of it. But 2 weeks ago, I got a call from my dad. He sounded annoyed, like his whole day had been ruined. Apparently, Marta and Morgan took the jewelry to get appraised, and the jeweler told them they were fake. I almost dropped the phone. For a whole year, I thought they'd never even consider getting them checked. Maybe they did it for insurance reasons. Maybe they were trying to sell them for some quick cash. Either way, it made me even madder. It just proved I was right from the start. Neither of them cared about the meaning behind the jewelry. They just wanted to know how much they could get for it. And they didn't even ask me first. Not that it mattered since they claimed it was a family heirloom. I had to think fast. So I played dumb, acted shocked, even said, "What do you mean fake?" to sell it better. He said the appraiser told them they looked good, but they weren't real. Morgan and Marta were freaking out. He asked if I had anything to do with it. I almost burst out laughing, but I kept it together. I said, That's strange. I didn't know anything about that. But why were they getting them appraised anyway? I thought they were sentimental pieces. He went quiet for a second, stammered a bit, then said, "Well, they just wanted to know their value. You know, just in case." "Yeah, sure." I kept playing dumb, all confused and worried. I even had the nerve to say, "Wow, that's crazy. Maybe the jeweler made a mistake, or maybe they were always fake and Mom never knew." That last part really threw him off. He started defending my mom, saying she'd never wear fake jewelry. Which is true, but I had to mess with his head so he wouldn't suspect me. Finally, he said he'd call me later and hung up, and that's when I lost it. I laughed so hard, I couldn't believe it worked. Not only did they think they had the real ones, they actually tried to sell them, proving just how greedy they were. I still wonder if my dad was part of their plan or just clueless. Either way, I don't regret what I did. Not for a second. If I had to do it again, I would. Maybe with a little hidden message inside the fakes, just to mock them even more. I'm not sure what my mom would have thought about all this, but I like to believe she would have found it hilarious that I protected her jewelry and taught those two gold diggers a lesson. Hope you did too. Update 1. It's been a wild few weeks, and I figured I should give you all an update because with everything going on, I'd have to write a whole book if I let more time pass. After my last post, I kept thinking the call would come, that someone had figured out what happened. I was mentally ready for it, because honestly, at this point I didn't really care anymore. But things have gotten a bit more chaotic since then. About a week after that phone call, my dad showed up at my apartment without warning. This man has never done that before. He always calls before coming over. I opened the door, and there he was, standing there with a serious face, didn't even greet me, just walked in like we were in the middle of some war. Then he turned around and said, "Marta wants to take legal action against you." I kept my face neutral and asked, "Legal action? For what?" He crossed his arms and said, "For the stolen jewelry." I just stared at him for a moment, trying to process if he was really serious. And he was. I told him, first of all, you can't steal something that already belongs to you. Mom left those pieces to me in her will, legally. And second, I didn't steal anything. That made him even more upset. He started going on about how selfish I was, how I was robbing his family, how my mom would have wanted me to share. Then he hit me with, "Why would the appraisers say they're fake if you didn't switch them?" I almost slipped. I was getting angry and wanted to let something out, but I took a deep breath and said, "I don't know, Dad. Maybe they were always fake." He paused for a second, but then shook his head and said, "That's impossible. Your mom's jewelry was real." So I asked, "Then why were they getting them appraised? Maybe Mom didn't trust you, and that's why she switched them. Seems like she was right, doesn't it?" I saw it in his face. He knew exactly what I was saying. That Marta and Morgan had planned to sell my mom's jewelry, and now that they couldn't, they were pissed. He didn't say anything else. He just left. A couple of days later, my Aunt Sydney, my mom's sister, called me. She was furious. Apparently, Marta had been telling everyone in the family that I stole Morgan's wedding jewelry and replaced it with fakes. She was playing the victim, acting like I'd betrayed the whole family. But Sydney didn't believe a word of it. She told me there was no way my mom would have wanted Morgan to have those pieces. In fact, Mom had told her directly that she wanted me to have them. Mom had even said she was worried that if Dad remarried, his new wife might try to take them. So yeah, Mom knew what kind of people might come around. So for now, I'm safe. They can say whatever they want. Legally, the jewelry belongs to me. They can't sue me for keeping what's mine. Maybe they'll end up getting sued themselves by a judge who laughs so hard he drops his glasses. Honestly, I thought the best part of this whole thing would be watching Morgan wear those fake pieces at her wedding, thinking they were real. But turns out, my little prank is still going strong. It's hard not to blurt out, "Dad, it was just a joke." But if I do, I'll lose the free entertainment they're still giving me. Update 2. The fake jewelry prank is still very much alive, and it doesn't seem like it's going to stop anytime soon. Things had started calming down, and I thought, well, all good things must come to an end. But life threw me another twist, and this one was honestly a gift. Marta ended up outing herself in the most spectacular way possible. After the last update, Marta and Morgan had a huge fight. Morgan felt betrayed for not getting the real jewelry and having walked down the aisle wearing fakes. She was absolutely furious. She believed that people at the wedding could tell the jewelry was fake and had been gossiping about her behind her back. They barely spoke for weeks. I really thought that would be the end of it. But then, a few days ago, I got a ridiculously long message from Morgan. And when I say long, I mean the Bible would be considered a short read next to it. To save you from the full drama, here's the summary. She said I'm a horrible sister, that I ruined her wedding, that I lied about the jewelry being fake, and that she deserved the real pieces because now she's part of the family. And then, the part that really got me, she wrote, "I don't care if you switch them. I just want the originals back." So yeah, at that point, everyone was already suspicious, and there was no more point in pretending. I was tired of these marathon-length messages, so I just replied, "Morgan, I have no idea what you're talking about. The jewelry you got is exactly what you deserve. Nothing more, nothing less." The next day, my dad called me again. He sounded exhausted, like he hadn't slept all night. Probably because both of them were screaming in his ears. He said, "Marta wants to press charges." I laughed out loud. I asked him, "For what? For keeping my own inheritance?" Apparently she was serious. She actually went to a lawyer to see if she could sue me for theft. The lawyer basically told her that since the jewelry was legally mine, she had no case. I don't know if she had to pay for that legal advice, but if she did, she could have saved the money and asked a 5-year-old. They would have said the same thing for free. Marta was so mad that she ended up incriminating herself without realizing it. In the middle of one of her angry rants, she told my dad that she always planned to give my mom's jewelry to Morgan, no matter what I said. She even admitted that she never thought about asking me because she assumed I was selfish and that Morgan deserved it more. I don't know what exactly clicked in my dad's head, but something did. Maybe it was hearing her say out loud that she didn't care about Mom's wishes. Maybe it was realizing she'd been lying to him all along. Or maybe it was just finally seeing how ridiculous and cruel this whole thing had become. Whatever it was, that same night, he called me again. And this time, he wasn't angry with me. He was angry with Marta. He apologized. He admitted he'd been blind and stupid not to see through her earlier. He said my mom's jewelry should have never even been up for discussion. Then he said something I never thought I'd hear from him. "I think I made a mistake marrying her. I don't care what happens with their marriage. That's their problem." But just hearing him say that was huge. The next day, they fought again. He told her she had completely crossed the line, that she had no right to touch anything that belonged to my mom. Marta exploded. She accused me of turning him against her, said she was only trying to be a good mother by giving something meaningful to Morgan, and even claimed she deserved the jewelry more than I did because she was the new wife. The fight got so bad that Marta packed her bags and went to stay with Morgan for a few days. And my dad? He actually looked kind of relieved. I don't know what's going to happen next. And sure, maybe some people will say my prank broke up a marriage. But if you're one of those people, I can recommend a lawyer, so you can waste money on a dumb consultation too. Update 3, this officially imploded, and when I say imploded, I mean scorched. Earth nuclear destruction level chaos. After my last update, everything was strangely quiet. Marta was still staying at Morgan's place, and my dad didn't talk about her much. I kept my distance, minding my own business. Honestly, I thought maybe she was planning to come back and pretend nothing had happened, but instead, Marta decided that if she was going down, she was taking everyone with her. A week ago, my dad called me. The first thing he said was, "You won't believe what Marta just did." Apparently, she had completely lost it and started airing every dirty secret she could dig up, though most of them were twisted or flat out made up. She contacted every single relative on my dad's side of the family and started spinning this insane story about how she had been emotionally abused during their marriage, how my dad never treated her as an equal, and how I was a lying, manipulative thief who stole from the family. She went all in, digging through old arguments and mistakes, pulling out anything she could twist into ammunition to turn the family against us. She was so focused on tearing me and my dad down that she forgot one very important detail. She had her own skeletons in the closet. And for once, my dad finally decided to look into them. After her meltdown, he did something he should have done years ago. He checked their finances, and guess what? Marta had been siphoning money from their joint account for years. We're talking thousands of dollars, gone on expenses my dad had never approved. Some of it went to Morgan's wedding, some to who knows what, and some of it just vanished. And my dad, who had believed he hadn't contributed a cent to Morgan's wedding and had thanked her parents for covering the costs, even complimented how lovely everything was, turns out he was the one paying. It was Marta, using money she had been secretly stealing from him for years. But the wildest part? When confronted, Marta didn't even deny it. She just shrugged and said something like, "Well, I deserved it after everything I put up with." This woman married a man who paid for everything, let her daughter live rent-free, and gave her full access to his money, and still felt entitled to more. I'm not going to say my dad didn't have it coming for being that naive, but Marta really outdid herself the very next day. My dad went straight to a lawyer and officially filed for divorce. I don't think I've ever seen him more determined in my life. It was like something finally clicked, and he realized just how badly he'd been used. Marta completely lost it. She showed up at the house while my dad was out, started pounding on the door and screaming that she was being treated like garbage. I wasn't there, or I'd have told her she was garbage. Luckily, my dad's security camera caught the whole thing, her yelling that she was going to destroy him in court. She left before the cops were called, but something tells me this isn't over yet. Morgan, staying loyal to her role as devoted daughter, tried to convince my dad to make peace with Marta. She told him that if he truly loved her, he wouldn't let me come between them. And my dad responded, "This has nothing to do with Alex. This has everything to do with your mother being a liar and a thief." Morgan snapped and said she wouldn't let him speak about her mom like that, and that if he went through with the divorce, she would cut him out of her life forever. My dad simply said, "Okay." Even I didn't expect that. I thought he'd stammer or hesitate, afraid to lose her, but Morgan broke down crying. She clearly expected her tantrum to change his mind. He didn't say much else. He just ended the call while she cried on the other end. I don't think I'll be posting another update because honestly, I'm done with them. But I wanted to share this last part because I never imagined things would blow up like this. Update 4. I know I said I wouldn't post another update, but trust me, you're going to want to hear this. And it's not just another little detail. This update comes with justice. After the last update, Marta finally seemed to realize the divorce was real. But instead of keeping a low profile and thinking about her next move like any sensible person would, she chose to make things worse. For everyone, but especially for herself. She kept telling everyone that my dad was abandoning her and that I had manipulated him into leaving her. She even had the nerve to say he had been emotionally abusive and that she was the real victim here. She actually tried to fight the divorce and demand spousal support, even after years of stealing from him. Her reasoning? That she had sacrificed so much to be with him and deserved compensation? Well, she got what she deserved, but not the way she wanted. Thankfully, my dad's lawyer doesn't waste time with nonsense. Since my dad had clear evidence of Marta moving money out of their accounts, her attempt at spousal support completely backfired. Not only did the court deny her request, but she's now facing a possible lawsuit to repay the money she stole. Imagine losing everything and still owing your ex thousands. Couldn't be me. After losing her support case and getting completely cut off by my dad, Marta made one last desperate move. She showed up at the house claiming she needed to collect some of her belongings. But my dad's not stupid. He knew she hadn't left anything valuable. He told her to send a list, and he'd mail whatever it was. She started banging on the door, yelling that he owed her a face-to-face conversation. When that didn't work, she started fake crying and saying she just wanted to talk. My dad calmly told her to go home. She left in a rage, not before yelling that he would regret this so far. The only one regretting anything is her. But hey, talk is cheap, and it gets better. Remember how Morgan swore she would never speak to my dad again if he divorced her mom? That lasted about a month. Then she realized something important. She needed money. Morgan had always relied on my dad's generosity. He helped with her rent, paid part of her wedding without knowing, and even gave her extra money when she was struggling. But that money train, it's gone. Forever. And Marta? She's in no position to help, financially or otherwise. So Morgan came crawling back. She actually had the audacity to call my dad crying, saying she didn't mean what she said, and that even though things didn't work out with her mom, she still wanted her father in her life. My dad, word for word, told her, "Morgan, I hope you figure things out, but I'm not your ATM." Then he hung up. She tried calling him again, but he blocked her. Update 5. Before I get to the good part, a lot of people have asked what my current relationship with my dad is like. Obviously, he hasn't been the best father, and that shows in how we interact now. We haven't cut contact completely, but we're not close like we used to be. We're polite, and that's it. I know he regrets what happened, but honestly, he shouldn't just regret it. He should have stood up for me way sooner instead of brushing off the whole jewelry situation. If I hadn't pulled that prank, he'd probably still be defending them today. The good news is, my dad won the lawsuit and managed to recover a big portion of the money Marta had stolen. He got back what he lost. Well, most of it. Not all the money he wasted on her and her daughter, who were basically leeches. If you look at this story from my dad's side, or Marta's, or Morgan's, maybe it feels like a sad ending. But if you look at it from mine, I don't think I've ever laughed so hard at a prank in my life. And I'm not even a prank person. But this one? They totally deserved it.